everyone, welcome to another episode of Super Plans TV. It's Kristel and only Kristel today. I want to share a little bit more about my health journey because it has been quite a journey, and I think everyone actually is always on a health journey the whole time, right? We're always evolving as people and learning different things about our bodies. And it has been quite a journey. Growing up, I grew up with eczema already as a baby. I was actually born with a C-section, and quite quickly I had a lot of skin problems. And that's something that kind of throughout my youth was like a big topic. So I went to a lot of holistic doctors, normal doctors, like kind of everything, and tried a bunch of things. And I was not allowed to eat sugar and not dairy. And then I did, like the steroid creams and antihistamine pills, light therapy. I did so many different things. And it kind of went like in my teens, I would say, like sometimes it went better, sometimes it was worse. It was definitely also like more stress related. There was like definitely pieces of that as well. And I just remember in college, especially, it like got really, really bad. So that was a little bit of my youth. Like another piece of that is that my mom was a nutritionist, and so like I learned from a really young age actually that food was a topic, right? And also for me, like I would eat something and get a rash and eat something else and I wouldn't get a rash, right? So that was such an interesting early on learning. I was like, oh, like what I eat is truly influencing my body. So that was really interesting. And yeah, so really interested in food, healthy food. Studied something completely different actually though, studied business. But always was reading all the health books and experimenting, and also in college with the eczema was a huge thing, but also like weight was there, became a bigger topic, right? For me, it was very much an emotional eater. So like when I left home to kind of deal with all the changes, started to just like eat a ton of things, gained weight, and that like used it as a coping mechanism. And then also like towards later in college, it kind of swung the other way where I was like very restrictive. So like definitely like more anorexia, sometimes bulimia behavior. And it is something that has been really a journey. But as very interesting for me, like the biggest thing there actually has been to really learn what works for my body, and like if I feed it the right things. And that was such a mental shift. I was like, oh, it's not about restriction, right? But it's really about what you eat. If you we all need fuel. We need to give our bodies what it needs, also to feel good mentally and physically. But in college, really, gained weight. Eczema was really bad, and I kind of was then at that point after college, and that was like, so I studied in the US actually. So that was, it was a big change coming from Holland. Did my master's then in London. There also still alcohol was something I drank back then, and I definitely always got a rash from that. Like it increased my inflammation in my body, right? Which eczema and autoimmune disorder really is. And I just kind of came to that point where I was like, okay, I'm done with all the pills. And I kind of just like threw them all out and all the antihistamine and steroids. I was like, I just want to heal this naturally. And even if I went to natural doctors, like they always gave me so much stuff that I needed to do. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like simplify it. And it was very interesting. That time was very similar at the time where Michael was also like after his chemo. So we just did this, started detoxing. I did a lot of juices, a lot of smoothies. I'm really into like more raw food and learning about that, superfoods. And it's something that really, really helped my body. I think juices are fantastic. I think smoothies can be fantastic, right? What it really comes down to is that we feed our body this very powerful living foods to really feel really, really good. The detox I did is very similar to something like we're gonna have, like detox level 1. And it is really about fueling your body with the right things, right? So it's not so much about like not eating and restricting, and it's about giving your body what it needs and leaving out some of the stuff it doesn't need, right? So alcohol, processed foods, salt, meat, dairy. I kind of forgot about that piece. Became vegetarian actually at 11. There was this crazy mad cow disease in Holland back then, and I made the connection of like, meat and animals, and I kind of was freaked out with the diseases, and I was just like, hey, I actually don't want to have any of this. Still did eat fish and eggs. And then I watched the movie Forks Over Knives. I always highly recommend anyone watching, I think it's a fantastic movie. While Michael actually had cancer. My mom had cancer when I was 13. I was 22 when Michael had cancer. I was studying my master's in London. And I watched this movie, and one of the things, it talks about a lot of things, but one of the things it talks about is how you can actually reduce your chance of getting cancer and how you can turn on and off your cancer genes, right? We all have cancer cells actually in our body. But by what we eat, and they basically say, like, if 95% of what you eat is not animal, not dairy or meat, you can actually turn off your cancer genes. And it's like, oh, there's something I can do to reduce my risk of cancer. And it was such a no-brainer at that point. Or I was like, okay, the next day I was like, now I'm vegan. I'm not just vegetarian, but I'm actually vegan. And I'm eating plant-based. And that has been, over 10 years right now. So I did the detoxing, really eating plant-based. And I know vegan is very interesting because it has a little bit more of a bad rap nowadays too. I think a lot of people, vegan equals processed food, and maybe for some people it does, but I don't think it has to at all. What it really means for me is eating a ton, like it's a whole food plant-based diet, right? And I know not everyone is ready to be completely vegan, but I think where we can all agree on, vegans, non-vegans, people who just like really believe in health, is that it's about eating a ton of unprocessed food, right? That's really where all the S is basically in. So it's really about eating a ton of fruit and vegetables, not seeds, grains, right? But it's like the fresh stuff, right? That grows in nature. We want to make sure we eat actually real food. And that is something that we really, really strongly believe in. And that's something that I know for me has healed my eczema. It has healed, like my mental health. Like I definitely had like tendencies of depression and anxiety and all those kind of things. And I truly believe by, eating a, whole food plant-based diet, you eat so much fiber, it heals your gut health. Therefore, right, it healed like my inflammation, it lowered my inflammation, healed my eczema. But therefore also like I didn't even really think about it, but I remember a year in, I kind of thinking like, oh wow, like I feel so different just within, right? Like just the way I think, I felt like I could really think for the first time, which was such a big thing. I think we often want like the really quick fixes, and right, like we do these things to our bodies for so many years, and like we cannot expect within a week, 2 weeks, or a month that everything is just magically healed and that we feel fantastic. There's so much we can do in a short period of time, right? But it's the consistency of our daily habits that stack up and really, really make the big changes. So I think that's one of the reasons we launched the Daily Detox course. And that's, by the way, if you haven't actually signed up for that yet, it's a free course where we really talk about what are your daily habits that can help you feel better, right? That helps your body detox. All our bodies are detoxing all the time, but there are things we can do to support the detoxification process. So yeah, check that out. Anyways, so that was more college time, 22, really into plant-based, eating plant-based, and that has been over 10 years now. Yes, like during my pregnancies, I also ate that way, postpartum as well. And yes, our kids are also eating plant-based. And, I've been learning, and it has been very interesting, right? And I think a lot of women can relate to that. We're going through so many changes for our lives, right? Like in pregnancies and postpartum. And I know I've talked to a lot of women in our community who are also then going through menopause, right? There's so many changes we're going through also hormonally. And yes, during pregnancy, I craved slightly different foods, right? Where I was just more hungry. So it was sometimes just a heavier food that I really, really craved. And I think that one thing that I'm learning more and more, and I don't think this holds true for food, I think this holds true for life, but to really listen to your intuition, listen to your gut feeling of like, what is your body actually craving? And it's not about eating less and less. It's just eating more of the right things. And I still have weeks where I'm like, might be eating too many, I don't know, just like not enough fresh stuff. I think that's really where it comes down to for me. And I just need to make sure I'm like, okay, I am hungry, right? But let's not like go quickly to the stuff that I quickly make, snack grab and go, right? Because we're busy. And I sometimes feel I don't even have a minute to record these kind of videos anymore because I'm just like running behind kids. Totally get you. I remember like people told me always, oh, your morning routine is really nice, but just wait until you have kids. And I'm like, yeah, you were totally right about that. Still trying to take time and to take care of myself, right? It is so important. And I realize if I take that time for myself, and I think, again, it holds true for everyone. It's just like if you take the time, right? Whether you're busy with kids or with work or just with life, people around you, helping and giving. And like we all want to help each other, right? We need to take time for ourselves, like whether it's to listen to our own thoughts, to move our bodies, to nourish our bodies. Because if we feel better, we can actually truly be present and really take in life and actually give to other people. So yeah, I don't even know where that came from, like from talking about my health journey. Anyways, so yeah, very much what has it been? Like the last 10 years eating whole food plant-based, that has been for me the biggest thing. Weight-wise, that also really helped. So even though I'm eating a lot more, right, like kind of my weight naturally started to balance. And I 100% feel like I didn't gain a lot of weight during my pregnancies, but I actually almost feel it more after my pregnancies when I'm nursing, that I'm just like more hungry, and I feel with the hormones, I just slightly hold slightly more weight, which is okay. And it's just like having that like grace of our bodies, of everything that it's doing, and changing the perspective of only focusing on the way we look, on actually like what does our body feel like, right? Do you have the energy to do what you want to do, yes or no? And like I have weeks where I'm really tired. I'm also like really not sleeping really great, waking up I don't know how many times, but it's like always tweaking and always learning and listening to your body. What is working now? What is not working? And, you know, things change with seasons. Like, yes, the partridge changes with the seasons, but also the seasons of life, right? So, and what for me really helps is to kind of have that foundation where I can kind of go back to. So whenever I feel like out of balance and, you know, like life feels like too much, or like I'm like, you know, like out of my routines, it's like those routines where you can come back to, where I have this long list nowadays where I'm like, these are the things that make me feel good, right? And that's kind of where I will end, or I love going back to, which is like it's random things, by the way. It's like starting my day with a smoothie. It makes me feel really good, like hydrating and then having a smoothie, moving my body, calling a friend makes me also feel really good. You know, reading a book, taking a really nice long hot shower. It's like having that long list, and then like the times that you don't feel good, those are the moments where you're tired and you don't feel good. We often are like can go into, oh, I just want to have sugar or different things to like have that instant dopamine hit to feel better. But those are like the times to kind of go to the long list and like, okay, what are the healthy ways on how I can feel good? Because they're going to make you feel good also longer and not just in the moment. It has been a journey. I mean, I've basically have not ever had any problems with my eczema anymore. So it is just like, I know this way of eating really works for me, but I hope so. And that is really holds true for, you know, super plants. We're so passionate about helping you eat more fruit and vegetables because we know what plants can do. They can heal your body. Like, your body is absolutely amazing. Our bodies are amazing. We just need to give it the right things, right? So, and create an environment where it can heal itself because it already knows what to do. So yeah, we're very, very passionate about that. And I will stop rambling now. I hope this was useful. Please leave more, if you have more questions and things you want me to go more in depth on or still answer, leave them in the comments below. I will definitely check them out and come back to you. And it's just like remembering that we are always changing and evolving, and that I always think if I can do it, you can do it too. But if you want to, step number one is just like, well, I'll give you 2 steps and then we'll stop. Step number 1 is to just eat more fruit and vegetables. I think just fresh fruit and vegetables, whether it's cooked, just eat more fruit and vegetables and just focus on that. Don't even focus on what you should be eating, just focus on what you should be eating more of. And then step 2 is to really truly turn around every product. Like if you buy, packaged stuff, which we all do, turn around always the packaging and don't look at the table, but actually look at the ingredient list. Like, what are you eating? And you might be shocked, like what kind of stuff they're putting in foods nowadays. And there are healthy stuff out there. We just really have to be very picky and careful and decide for ourselves, what do we actually want to put into our bodies? Because it really, really makes a huge difference. So yeah, and if you don't know what something is, Google it, and you might be surprised to find out you're like, I actually don't want to put that in my body. So anyways, have a fantastic day. Leave your questions in the comments. If you want to share more about your health journey and what has worked for you, I would love to hear it. And I hope for you guys who are watching that you got your daily greens and beauty berries. I'm really enjoying them. They're standing here on top of the fridge, and Leo is scooping them in our smoothies every morning, and I love having them back again. And also the multivitamin is gonna be still starting relatively soon. I would say probably end of the month. So that's very exciting. I cannot wait for this product. I'm so passionate about it, but that's a whole other video where we can talk about whole food supplements and why they're different than synthetic ones, because they're very, very different. So that's for another time. Bye.